What up, what up, what up, sports fans all over the world? It's your boy, Macdagiantsfan, here with my guy, Zion Zenith. This is the Premium Takes Podcast. Let's go!
Let's get it. Let's get it. Back in your lives on a Thursday afternoon. Sorry if I feel kind of under the weather because my throat is strapped right now, but it's all good. We're still going to give you guys great content. It's the combine week because these players been doing interviews. They've been talking to the teams. We're hearing a lot of good takes, on them throughout the weeks. And then now is the first day where we got to see some players kind of do these on-field exercises, these activities. That being said, Adam's going to join us in a bit. He had some other business to take care of. But when he joins us, he joins us. Happy Thursday to you too, Daniel. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. But that being said, guys, I'm gonna pass the mic over to Mac. He's gonna kind of run the show for a bit. I'll give my take. Or can have a conversation about the combine while Adam gets here, and yeah, it's gonna basically about the combine this show. So that being said, do your thing, Mac. I know you probably watched the combine today. What are the things you liked? What things shocked you? Anything stood out? Let's get it.
Oh, yeah, some things definitely stood out. What's going on, Coach Ed? Appreciate you stopping in, man.
What a
Peace and blessings to
coach.
you as well, man. That draft stream was fire last week, Coach Ed. That was awesome, man. Um, But yeah, let's talk about the combine a little bit, man. I'm not even usually the biggest fan of the combine. I'm kind of one of them old school type of guys. Got that Paul Dottino mentality. You know how he refers to it as the
Love it.
underwear Olympics. And that's kind of I kind of do believe in that, man, a little bit, because it's just, I mean, these guys, we all know they're good athletes working out in shorts and stuff. That doesn't really, to me, measure a football player. I put more stake into what I see on the field. Well, after what I watched today at the scouting combine, I got to say, I don't think the New York Giants have a legitimate shot at one Mr. Arvell Reese anyway. And I know we've been throwing Caleb Downs' name out there a lot, and the Carnell Tate and all that. I get it; they're phenomenal talents as well, and they would obviously be filling positions of need for the New York Giants as well. But yeah, I'm sorry. When I watch Sonny Styles play football on the field, I'm already impressed. But then when I watch a workout like I saw today, I'm at the point now where I'm thinking, the number 5 overall pick, when they walk up to that podium, the number 5 overall pick, Sonny Styles might just have to be the guy. You know how you say, the quarterback on offense is as that guy. You want to get your quarterback and nail him down. Well, Sonny Styles might be that linebacker, that difference-making linebacker the New York Giants need. That almighty, that line to bring prominence back to that position once again for the New York Giants. Sonny Styles' workout today was absolutely unworldly. I've never seen anything like that before. He was like a robot out there, and then the fact that, like I said, I don't put necessarily a whole bunch of stock in these drills all the time on the field, because like I said, these guys are just good natural athletes anyway, so they're supposed to look good in their shorts and stuff doing these drills. But like I said, what Sonny Styles also has more than proven it on the field as well. You know what I mean? So we know this dude gets down on the field as well. It's not just some workout warrior like Mike Mamula years ago. You know what I mean? So, and look, I haven't been personally talking about him as much as some other people have been, but I'm sorry. At this point now today, I think he just raised the bar. He raised the bar. And like I said, him, Arvell Reese, those guys right there, like if the Giants could get either one of those guys, which I think Sonny Styles is realistic, based off of what I'm, seeing in a lot of the mock drafts and whatnot. I think that's more realistic because Arvell Reese is just most likely going to be gone.
In-network doctors on ZocDoc. Mom, we need you.
Okay, thank you for that. But but Sonny Styles, man, I think this guy right now, man, he's moved up on my personal draft board big time today. Like I said, I was already impressed anyway. And after what he did today at the combine, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. He left me speechless, man. But I mean, Arvell Reese also did look phenomenal out there as well, man. Another one. Obviously, you know what that guy's capable of. If somehow he was able to slip to the New York Giants some kind of way, you know, I definitely ain't got no problem with that. I'm excited for tomorrow to see the D-backs. D-backs and tight ends working out tomorrow, but I mainly want to see the D-backs. Definitely want to see the Caleb Downs work out as well, see how he looks out there. And that's something else to talk about with the combine. Because we take Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, for example, man. Usually players of that caliber, you don't usually even get to see a full workout at the combine. These guys are usually more just falling back, do their little thing, wait till their pro day, whatever. But they did the full complement of drills, everything. And hats off to those two young men going out there showing it off. Because at the end of the day, neither one of their draft statuses, was really going to be affected too much either way. Arvell Reese is still going to go in the top 5, whether he worked out at the combine or not. And so at the end of the day, hats off to those guys going out there and still, you know, working out, putting on a show. And they really did. They really did a damn thing, man. You said you've been on Style since season's end. I just thought you could have gotten him in the mid-teens. Now it's that 5. Can't trade back like I wanted. Yeah, I don't think so, Coach. I think after what he saw today, I think Sonny Styles could be a legit top 5 pick. Like I said, I'm not upset right now if we walk up to that podium with that number 5 pick, whoever's and the commissioner announces Sonny Styles' name going to the New York Giants. I would be all good with that, man. I absolutely would be. This dude today, he slammed the door for it on it today for me, man. Like today, he proved that he's more than worthy of that selection. And I just think he's one of those kind of guys. You got an opportunity to get certain types of talents like that. You can't really pass it up, man. And that to me is generational talent written all over him, man. Like I said, and but a couple other guys that, you know, stood out a little bit for me today. Not necessarily a top guy, but a guy I kind of noticed when the D tackles were working out, man. Get his name. I can't remember his name offhand. Yeah, the kid from Wisconsin, a day 3 guy. He's gonna be a day 3 guy, you know. But let's see. The draft is 3 days, and you can cover it all. You know what I mean? So this guy here, Wisconsin, this kid, not D tackle, DN, Mason Riger. Yeah, Mason Riger. This kid is I was watching him work out doing the drills, man. He has really good feet, really clean. He was going in and out of working out, really great workout. And he really showed me a little something. I think, and he's a little older, 24-year-old.
You don't just snap a photo.
And
we don't just click.
Little 24-year-old kid coming out. So he's a little older, a little more seasoning on him. And he's had a little history with the injuries, apparently. But he'd be, to me, a good like day 3 type of guy, man. If maybe potentially take a flyer on him, add some depth, and who knows what you get out. You're gonna get a guy with a very high motor, and like I said, the guy is seems to be very fundamentally sound. So I just think he's the type of guy. Just something else that just stood out. A guy that stood out to me. Another one that stood out to me. The kid from Texas Tech, I think it is. He's went to the linebacker, Texas Tech. What's his name? Rodriguez.
Yeah, Jacob. Is that him?
Jacob Rodriguez. Yes, yeah. Absolutely. Another one that was just jumping off the screen for me. I mean, this guy is probably likely a day 2 guy, potentially. I mean, late, but kind of maybe not. The Giants picking that in round 2 is probably still a little high for where he's going to go. I mean, this guy is probably more like late 2nd, early 3rd round. You know, but at the same time, he's another kind of guy I had my eye on watching today, and just what he did even for Texas Tech on that defense. I mean, this dude's a turnover machine. I mean, absolutely. I mean, this guy has the knack for just freeing Luke getting that football out of the offense's hands, man. This dude knows how to do it. I mean, nobody in college football did it any better than this young man right here. So just another guy keep an eye on. I mean, looking to add depth to this defense, add depth to this team. he was another guy that I noticed a lot of good things and saw a lot of good things. And the fact that he was following up on every drill, he was following behind Arvell Reese. There's something to say about that as well. I mean, every time he had to go after Arvell Reese, I mean, and like you said, we saw the things that he was doing. But yeah, that was another guy that stood out for me, man. I don't know if you got anything about anything that you saw today, Zion. I've been talking for a few minutes here.
Nah, you're good. Please hold it down. I love it. Yeah. That being said, the two Ohio boys, like, yeah, that Sonny Styles kid. I wasn't really eyeing him. Mainly, like, I knew who he was, but I wasn't really looking at him, And then, boy, like you said it perfectly, boy, did he just break records today. I believe that he was, like, for his size. They were saying on the comment that this is his broken record in vertical. This is a better ability, to get up there, and just his speed, his speed at that position. Someone that can come in and, like you said it, be a quarterback on the defense. Someone that can come in and John can do his thing with. You know what I'm saying? And Denoy can scheme around him and bring this defense to life. Is going to take that QB on the football field, and obviously with Reese, you know what I'm saying, him doing his thing too, just goes to show you how stacked Ohio State's squad was this year. You know what I'm saying? With him, running as fast, like both of them, obviously this time of year, like Mike said it perfectly. Like we can only judge from what we can see on tape and what we can see on highlights. And this, I get it. They're like under the Olympics, but at the end of the day, this is, you can kind of see them like without their helmets and kind of see these kids like, get interviews and stuff like that. And these kids look like pros. You know what I'm saying? From what I'm seeing, these kids, they're carrying themselves the right way, and they're certainly deserving so of a top 10 pick. And with Sonny Styles moving his way up certainly today by a performance. Obviously, their pro days will come. They'll have the pro day, and we'll see what happens there. And probably, but with the draft, like, anything's possible, right? You got to take the best available player. You got to somehow find a way to stand out with an ocean full of a lot of fish. You know what I'm saying? And so this is where you do it. This is where I love the fact that you brought up day 2, day 3 people, because of the fact that this is when you stand out. The whole attention is on Sonny Styles and Admiral Reese, and then how do you go and you make yourself look good and rise your stock. So I love the combine, love watching it. A few other players that I can't wait to see this weekend. I know I've been smashing Caleb Downs, but like Max said, sorry. Like Max said, Sonny Styles, man, I wouldn't be mad if he selected him. Reese, if he's there at 5, pick him. I'm super excited for them. I can't really say any other players really like I had my eye on, because those are the kind of the two that I really mostly wanted to see. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna watch it. I didn't watch it as much as I wanted to, but I'll probably be tuned in sometime tomorrow and throughout. But I certainly had it on in the background while I was doing other stuff too. But that being said, though, Caleb Downs, I believe, like Max said, DBs or tomorrow. Can't wait to see him. And I think, with there's receivers out there too. And this is not a deep draft by all means. So, like, when it comes down to what's going to make your team better, and what's going to make your team stand out is John Harbaugh picking the best player for the team. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of lost there. But that being said, though, is picking the best player available. There's, I don't really necessarily say that there's a big feel like, oh, we need to fill this position, we need to fill that position. I just think like it's gonna line up perfectly. We're gonna get the best available player, and then we'll see what happens from there. And there's always free agency, and there's a lot of stuff coming that we're gonna know for beyond the draft too. So the combine, that being said, but yeah, Sonny Styles definitely stood out for me. Reese, yeah, back over to you. My bad, guys. I kind of feel under the weather today, but I'm gonna hold it down. Back over to you, Mac. Anything you want? Anything you're excited for this upcoming week? Is I mentioned Caleb Downs as any other players. I know we have a quarterback, but I'm always excited to see the next generation of quarterbacks do their thing. So I'm probably excited for that. Not really. Mostly Mendoza. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Mendoza. Yeah, I'm sorry.
But I'll let you go. Wide receivers, I'm excited for too. So yeah, what you excited for this weekend?
Well, I mean, I actually kind of don't mind checking out the quarterback. Like you said, we're not really necessarily in the quarterback market, at least not early in the draft at all. And I'm really more interested in seeing, because Mendoza's not really going to be doing too much.
That's true, yeah.
They've already said, and obviously he's number 1 overall pick, and that's pretty much locked in.
Yeah.
But this year, what's interesting about this draft class, especially the quarterback position, is who's really asserting themselves as the number 2 guy, number 3 guy. I want to see who these guys are, you know what I mean, and where they can, how they can position themselves on this draft board. Because as of right now, as far as I'm seeing, I don't see any other quarterback even going in the first round.
That's how I see it too.
Other than Mendoza. So I'm just curious to see which other quarterbacks are going to take advantage of this weekend of the combine and really assert themselves and position themselves and jockey themselves for positioning in this draft. Because usually you kind of know, like last year, you kind of went to the draft and it didn't necessarily work out the way people thought, but still the quarterbacks came off the board almost the way people thought they were for the most part. You know what I mean? And he kind of knew, you saw the rankings kind of fall in, and that's pretty much how they were drafted, except for the obvious, Shedeur Sanders issue, but that's neither here nor there. But this year, it's not like that. I mean, it's just not those. I mean, when Mendoza obviously number 1, and then if the kid from Oregon would have came out, he was looking like he was going to be the clear-cut number 2, but he decided to go back to school.
More back, yeah.
Yeah, he decided to go back to school. So now it's just like, and it's just not as clear-cut as who is going to be that number 2 quarterback, and when will they even go? That's even the bigger question. So it's just curious to see which quarterback can separate themselves a little bit. But just another guy that had a pretty solid workout there. I just didn't really mention the first time, but I don't think the Giants really are going to be able to grab him either, because he'll potentially be off the board even before the number 5 pick as well. Is the young man David Bailey, showing great power and showing what he does best, man. And just something, just wanted to shout him out a little bit too. He had a pretty solid workout as well today. Edge rusher David Bailey, man. Actually, some people even have him ranked even above Arvell Reese. So that's something to tell you about David Bailey, man. So it's but as far as what I just want to see with these kids, like I said, I really want to see Caleb Downs tomorrow now, because he's obviously, been in a lot of mock drafts heading New York Giants way at the safety position. And I'm just curious to see. I'm kind of curious to see what he looks like. I mean, how's he going to follow up his 2 teammates today? That was just absolutely nuts. Right now, it looks like number 5 overall pick, the New York Giants are going to call someone's name from the Ohio State University. I'm just saying. Since my coach Ed says my 4 that I like to draft at 5, it's Styles, Reese, Maigoa, or Alo Val. Sorry if I'm butcher. I can't really pronounce it. Alo Vega, loan in the teams if you trade back. Interesting. I'm not only really familiar with obvious too. There, I'm not as savvy with these kids, some of these college kids, as you guys are. Unfortunately, watching this combine and some of the guys that I just happened to catch playing, during the season. I'm not necessarily the big regular college dude, but I definitely check it out. I look into those guys as well and see. Because I know Coach Ed, if you like him, man, yeah, I know you got an eye for that talent right there. So I can definitely respect your opinion on that. So they can't be slouches. The thing about the Caleb Downs thing that is everybody's talking about the big thing about him with the safety. You don't draft safeties in that early in the draft, that early in the first round and whatnot. But I just can't buy that philosophy, man. Some people are just, different. Some players are just built differently, and you can't just say pigeonhole them like, oh, you don't take a safety that early. I mean, that's crazy work. Some guys are just worthy of the pick. You know what I mean? And if he can prove that he is, we'll see. Okay. So we see them. We'll get to see them on Saturday workout. Him work out on Saturday.
Yeah, as I was muted, I was Magoa. I wouldn't mind him at 5 too, because he's the best. In my opinion, too, he's the best offensive tackle in the draft out of Miami, and he could seal what we thought Evan Neal was gonna be. So that's long gone, right? I like our O line, but I really do believe it's gonna be a Ohio State cat. But we'll see what happens. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be mad if he impresses as well, because he's him, and they're so rare and they're so hard to come by.
Yeah, I think I actually have seen a couple of mocks where they did have him go. The Giants picking this young man. Now that you actually mentioned that, that it's starting to that's coming back to me. There's a couple of mocks I've seen with him going at number 5. Look, once again, I mean we don't know what direction the Giants are going to go in this. And a team with ours, with the Giants, with so many holes that they have, I mean, it's who knows? It could be anybody. It's just a couple guys to me. I don't know. Like I said, a couple guys though. Like I said, that they're like I said, if somehow, some way, Arvell Reese is on the board at number 5, I'm diving through my TV screen and walking that card up to the commissioner my damn self. You know what I mean? Like, that's just a foregone conclusion. If he's, but I just don't see that happening anyway. I don't see him being available at number 5, and that's what makes me so much more hype about what Sonny Styles did today, because now she's reassured me that I would be okay with him being that pick at number 5 as well. And I think he will be available at number 5. It's going to be all a matter if the New York Giants decide to want to pull that trigger or not. So, oh man. So I definitely do want to see the big guys work out on Saturday. And that's going to be interesting. That is going to be another interesting group of guys to check out, because you never have enough. As we know, you don't never have enough depth on that O line. The New York Giants definitely know all too much about that. So, like I said, I'm very excited, man, for this combine, man. Like I said, just to see these kids working out. I'm just all across the board. I mean, look, got the tight ends tomorrow as well with the D-backs. So, also another position that, I'm not saying we're not going to get one. We're not going to get that kid from Oregon. Not going to grab him up in the first. We're not taking him to number 5, but he's another guy I'm excited to see work out, because I want to see, I mean, I know, like I say, once again, I've seen what he does on the field. So as far as that concerned, he's already passed that test for me, anyway. But I want to see how he works out, see what he does. I don't know if he's doing everything or what exactly he'll be doing, but I know he's working out tomorrow a little bit to some extent. And I'm curious to see him. And we'll see some of the other tight ends, because obviously, as we know, we got a little issue there. I think the New York Giants is going to have a hard time. They may not be able to retain Bellinger. He may want to go branch out and get an opportunity maybe somewhere else. And Theo Johnson is just, until them hands can be proven to be reliable, we can't keep relying on him. So obviously a tight end is another position where I can see the Giants coming out of this draft with one. Whether it's on, probably most likely if the Giants go that route, it will probably be a day 3 guy. But at the same time, it's a possibility, man. So tight ends definitely want to check. We're looking forward to checking those guys out, and especially not necessarily the top end ones so much as more so the ones that are projected a little bit more in the day 3 range, because most likely the Giants target a tight end is going to be one of those guys like in day 3, I believe. And I mean, that's all I really got on the combine thus far. Obviously, only the first day of workout, so I talked about pretty much the D linemen, the linebackers like that stood out to me that I was impressed with. And let's talk about the Giants, I guess, man. Could always talk about the New York Football Giants, man.
Absolutely. And then before we move to that, I do want to point out this is another position that we're gonna be eyeing as well with the wide receivers, right? So we can't wait for the wide receivers to work out. Whether we pick one at 5, which I don't think we are, but whether we pick one in the second or wherever we pick one, there's a lot of talented wide receivers, and I can't wait to watch them work out as well. Yes, sir. So moving on to the Giants, I'm gonna ask you this: what free agency moves do you feel like that you want to see the Giants make? Like if you was John Harbaugh, what free agents would you want to attack? What free agents would you want to go after? Is there any free agents that you like list them like this is my first guy I will attack and this is my second guy I'll attack? If I could get your opinion on that'd be awesome. Let's get it.
Well, first start at home. I mean, like I said, if we can find a way to retain Wan'Dale Robinson, I'm like I said, I still one of those guys that I want to do that. I want to make it happen. Now,
Yes.
I want to make this very clear. Adam's still not here with us yet, and hopefully he'll be able to jump on and say a few things himself, because we always, we live for Adam's opinions and Adam's takes. But
hey, that's right.
My thing about Wan'Dale Robinson is I understand where Adam's coming from to an extent, but I don't have the same kind of disdain for Wan'Dale that Adam has. I think if we can keep Wan'Dale, I would like to make that happen. But I'm not crazy. I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to give this guy $20 million a year or anything crazy. I'm not trying to give him some crazy ass contract either. It has to be for the right price. And that's just how I feel about it. I'm not saying, like, I don't want to necessarily kick the guy out like garbage. And I'm not even saying lowball. Something fair and reasonable for what he truly is. And I don't, and I as long as as we can keep him around at, like I said, at a decent price, I'm okay with that. Like, and I think he does add something to this offense, especially if you have two good wide receivers on the outside, which will Malik. We have one for sure, Malik Neighbors, and then maybe we get another one in this draft or acquire another one through free agency. But I just don't. I just, as far as I just don't want to, like, you know what I mean. I'm tired of always continuously getting rid of what I know is solid and good football players. You know what I mean? Like, this guy has been productive throughout his tenure with the New York Giants, and he's gotten better, increasingly better each and every season. This year, ended up for most of the year being the New York Giants' number one target, and he still ended up having the best year of his career. So that just goes to show me how hard this kid works. Jackson Dart loves him. Great rapport with Jackson Dart. You got to think about all these things. Like I said, I'm not about overpaying Wan'Dale Robinson. I'm not with that. I'm not. But at the same time, if there's a way they can find a way to hang on to him, let's make it happen, man. Cordell Flott's another one. Cordell Flott also, I mean, another guy that's just gotten better and better and better. And clearly, I feel like he was our best D-back this past season. Straight up. I mean, I just think he was the most consistent in the secondary all year long, man. Had a pretty strong campaign, man. And I'd like to see that. I'd like to see them figure out a way to maybe retain him as well. But at the end of the day, when it comes to free agency, you just never know what somebody else is going to throw out there at a guy, or how other teams value a guy and what they're willing to pay a guy. So that's the tricky part about some of those guys. And then also you got to figure out what we're going to do with a Kayvon Thibodeau, man. Are we going to trade him while he has any sense of value? Or like what are we going to do? Like, I mean, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to make a decision on him next year regardless, at the end of the season regardless. And if you're not really considering him part of the true future plans, then you might as well sell him the door right now and get what you can get for him, man. Find out what you can get, see what the market is for him. And you got to make these kind of decisions. And I think the upcoming weeks are going to, we're going to start seeing some of these decisions come, to fruition, man. But I don't know. I don't know if the Eagles are gonna bring back Jalen Phillips, what they're gonna do with this young man. But he's a guy that I tell you, I just like the way he plays the game, man. And he's another guy that like I said, you never have enough edge rushers, man. You just never do. But there's no such thing as having enough edge rushers. No such thing. having enough good ones. And we need some more good ones. We need more consistency, man. I mean, last season, Abdul Carter didn't really come along until a little later in the year as far as, getting home and getting the sacks. He was applying the pressure. Brian Burns obviously had a phenomenal year. Kayvon, it was up and down while he was out there. Then he got hurt and missed the rest of the season. And Chauncey Golston never really emerged to be what I thought he was going to be, which I thought he was going to end up being like kind of a steal from free agency last year. I thought that was going to be like one of our big surprise pickups, and it just didn't really pan out either. But like I said, I think you can't miss with a Jalen Phillips, man. I don't know how he'll probably command a lot of money, unfortunately. So that might be why he's not really going to be a real option. But that's the kind of guys that attract me. Because like I said, you never, ever, ever, ever have enough good edge rushers, man. Tyler Linderbaum, obviously another one at that center position. Look, it can be, if it's an upgrade, it's an upgrade. What you call it had a solid season, but Tyler Linderbaum's better. He's a better center, man, than Schmitz, man, JMS. And if we got to maybe potentially slide JMS over a guard, maybe that could even strengthen the O-line all in itself anyway. You know, this another move that I'd be interested in, man. A couple other guys out here.
While you look for them, I like what you said about Kayvon too. It's like, first off, I want to point out too, like, I don't think that we're gonna be in a position where like we have to worry about the cap too, because I think we can play around with the cap, and we're in like the last place when it comes to dead cap. So like when you look at it that way too, it's like we have a lot of flexibilities. We can renegotiate and restructure contracts. There's no way that Slayton is gonna fucking play here on a $17 million contract. And I don't know what fucking universe is that gonna take place. So we'll definitely try to restructure Slayton. We can restructure Andrew Thomas, maybe Dexter. There's a lot of things that we can do. So I think we can free up. I wouldn't say easily, but at least 50 to 60 million to go after some high level free agents. And you mentioned Tyler. I absolutely love Linderbaum. I'll get into him in a minute too. But with Kayvon, it's like I do like him, but then again, does he really, like, obviously he wants to be here, but like, does he is he going to demand the type of money that he kind of wants his position kind of gets nowadays? And we have are we gonna it's gonna be a kind of prove it type of year, right? And if that's being in the case, I absolutely would agree. Offer the kid, see what you can get for him at least. It's not saying that we're gonna get rid of him. It's just put it out there, and I think smart teams do that to all their players. There's certain players obviously it's untouchable, but the shocking things that happen all the time in the NFL. And that being said, see what you can offer him, and maybe we can even get someone that we wasn't even thinking that could be available, but now is available because of the fact that we traded Kayvon, or even accumulate some draft picks that we can utilize for the first time that this regime is drafting their players as a unit. So absolutely, there's a lot of players that we can discuss in free agency, and you mentioned Robinson, and to cover him too. What I do like about Robinson is he proved it. You know, in a time where he had to step up and he had to be a leader and he had to be the number one target for a young quarterback that's still trying to learn the dynamics of the NFL field, the dynamics of the NFL game, how faster it is than college. He helped them. You know, there's a lot of times that we had a lot of receivers that didn't finish the season on the Giants squad. A lot of receivers that just got paid, and not a lot, but Slayton, just call a spade, who just got paid and had every opportunity, every chance to, get his and get his bag, and he got his bag, and then he still has the same problems we've seen from year one. So it's almost as if like Robinson, he came into a sticky situation, regime change, and offensive coordinators change time, and then finally it's almost as if like with all that bullshit that happened, right? He elevated every single year. Every single year he elevated, and I absolutely agree. If we could free up the right price for Robinson, because I do believe that we still need a true number two. Robinson can definitely be that number two, but I would want him more as a number three, as a Mr. Reliable, like third down, the guy that's just gonna get that downness when you need it. And I think we can get a wide receiver either in free agency, a couple in the draft, or we'll see what happens there. A couple in free agency, one in the draft, we'll see what happens there. But I want to be able to build this team with depth at that position, because it's been, even though we're gonna run a lot of tight end sets too, so we're gonna build on all of the skill players positions we're gonna build on, and I just feel focused in on that wide receiver position. We've been hurt and we've been playing for too long, and the guy focusing back on the main point, which is Robinson, the guy who's been there and overcame all those odds and progressed every year, not decreased, progressed. That's deservedly so of especially just some talks. And obviously, if he walks, he wants to go see greener pastures. Go right ahead. We've seen it just happen to two of our players, with Leo and with Julian Love, players that was performing, and we ended up trading them away for circumstances, and look at them now, right? So like, and all of our most of the players that leave the Giants, like Mac was saying, we just, I remember when McKinley left and he had like leading the league in interceptions by like week 7. That and it's just all of our players that leave, they're talented, and we have to keep our talent in house. And I think Robinson is talented, and I think he wants to win. He deserves to be a Giant, and hopefully they can negotiate a contract that doesn't break the bank and doesn't limit us from getting another wide receiver, but still respecting Robinson and respecting his game. And that being said, I think hopefully we can get something done with there. That being said, Mac, I'm gonna pass the mic over to you, and you can cover free agency if you want. Talk Giants, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's get it. Thank you for holding it down, guys, and I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching.
Absolutely, but also just another thing, another one I forgot to mention earlier. I forgot about Jermaine Illuminor as well. Figuring out a way to retain him as well at right tackle, man. Keep him on the right side. You got Andrew Thomas on the left side, and as of right now, you can continue to have Marcus Bowe continue to keep developing, man. Another Jermaine Illuminor would be another guy I would look to try to retain as well, as far as our own free agents. But then also, in the event that we potentially will lose Wan'Dale Robinson, because right now, it's a possibility, man. I don't know how other teams around the league value Wan'Dale Robinson or not, but we'll find out in a couple of weeks. But Romeo Doubs, another guy that we could look at to maybe even if you needed to bring somebody else in. Romeo Doubs could be another guy that could potentially work out as well, man. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, also, if you're looking to find people to trade for, maybe, looking for other wide receivers, like Jalen Waddle kind of fits more of that slot mode as well, but he's very dynamic, and if clearly from what we've been hearing, seems to want out of Miami. So, you have to find a way to trade for him as well and put something together for a trade. I don't know how much they would expect to get in return for Waddle, but he's a dynamic player, so they probably wouldn't be an easy trade to make happen necessarily. But that's just another guy of interest. I always had a thing for Jalen Waddle, even coming out of college. I always was a big fan of his. So, if there's any potential to be able to make that happen, look, it's a lot. We're going to find out. Like I said, free agency starts up in a couple of weeks, and things are going to start open. They're going to want to get that little tampering period is going to come through. And we'll get to see, what some of these guys can do, man, and see where some of these guys fall. But that's pretty much where I stand right now on free agency as of right now. I got to do a little more dig into it a little bit more to see exactly who is available and look for guys that look like they can fit the mold of what the New York Giants need, man. And because I think we do need to find a couple of good, solid veterans as well, like guys that can come in and be immediate locker room leaders, guys that are kind of guys that will be comfortable stepping into a new locker room and kind of taking that reign, because the New York Giants, they are desperate for true leadership as well, man. I think that's something this team has lacked over the years. It's like who's really that guy, that real leader of this football team, man. I know we vote for captains every year, but which one of those guys are really the ones that stand out? Who are like the Antrell Rolls, the Michael Strahans of this football team, the guys, the real vocal leaders? We just lack that right now. We don't seem to have that. So, look for certain guys like that as well, that could potentially join this team. And like I said, I put all my faith into John Harbaugh's vision, man. And we're going to start finding out what that vision is in the upcoming weeks, man, what it really is. But I got faith in it because I watched it work for several years during his tenure in Baltimore. So, yeah, I'm ready, man. I'm ready to go on the ride, man. The New York Giants, we've been so bad for so long that right now all we can do is go up, man. All we can do is go up. And I think we're really positioning ourselves to be in a good way, man. I know Joe Shane spoke the other day, and he's talking about his position ain't changed. His duties aren't any different. Joe Shane, kill it, Skillet. The last word goes through John Harbaugh. That's the last word, bro. It ain't no Joe Shane. Your role has absolutely changed. You answer to him now. That's just what it's gonna be, man. Get on board, bro. You ain't got to come out there and try to save face talking about your role hasn't changed. No, your role is different, bro. You are no longer the shot caller. You are an advisor. you get to share your opinion. That's what you get to do, Joe Shane.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I love it. And it's still kind of early too. Like I'm watching Combine, on rerun right now. It's still kind of early to because a lot of teams are gonna attack these free agents. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna resign their own free agents. I'm wondering if the Bengals are actually gonna pay that Tyler guy. That they've just been trying to franchise tag for 2 years now. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Bengals pay the offense, but don't pay the defense. I don't know what the fuck that is, but yeah, most definitely as more free agents come available, and as the waters kind of clear out, and we can actually see who's really truly available, and not just people that do still need to talk to their respective teams. Then we can get into that. Covered the combine, but just want to say again, I want to see Caleb Downs tomorrow. He's gonna want to see him do his things. I just want to watch the whole cornerbacks in general, because safeties included. You know what I'm saying? All the DBs, because that's what this coach, our defensive coordinator, is wanting to do, is fix our secondaries. And Flat, I think Mac mentioned earlier, he's a dog, and I do want to see us resign our old players as well. But I want to see all these DBs perform in the combine and see what they can do. And it's gonna be fun to see how we're gonna work it out, and who we're gonna get, and where they're gonna be. That being said, even the wide receivers, I want to watch Makai Lemon do their thing, Cornell Tate, Sonny Styles, no, not Sonny Styles, I'm sorry, Troy, but I'm forgetting his name. But that being said, yeah, it's a fun time to be a football fan, because we have all these exciting things to watch. And Adam has definitely entered the chat at a perfect timing. So as he gets adjusted and as he works his way onto the screen, we definitely can get his opinions on the combine, on if he watched it, what he liked about it, what he didn't like about it. Is there anything that he did want to cover, and then we can go from there. So I'm gonna pass it over to you, Mac, as Adam.
Well, yeah, just another player. As I was just scrolling down the list, and it's something that's funny that Adam just came here, because this is this is something he's been talking about, a position he's talked about a little bit, and that's just the running back position. As I scroll on down the list, I'm seeing not Bijan Robinson, Jesus Lord, Tyler Algier, another guy that free agent running back that's not going to be able to command too much cash, probably. As far as he'll probably look to sign like a prove it deal somewhere. Another guy, if you wanted to think about adding something a little more serious into that backfield, a guy that's proven he could be like a number one guy. I mean, he's another guy that's out there available as well. If you want to look to upgrade the running back room, add him to the mix with Scatterboo, Tyrone Tracy in that backfield, that would could be something, maybe a direction the Giants look to go into possibly. But Adam, we've been talking the whole time, so you are here, and I know you got some things to say. So let's hear it, brother.
Well, first off, thank you guys for going on. Sorry I had to put the little ones away. But I'm sure you guys talk about combine, free agency, and all that jazz. First off, I want to say this. Joe Shane is an idiot. Okay? He's an idiot. I saw his press conference or part of it, and that guy clearly doesn't have a job. He doesn't really have anything to do. So that's number one. Number two, the Giants cap situation. What are they going to do? Okay? Are they going to keep Wan'Dale Robinson, or are they going to keep Kayvon Thibodeau? There's rumors out there that he's possibly on the trade block, and I have no problem with that. Why? Because I believe in production. I had a conversation with somebody today. I said, hey, has Kayvon Thibodeau lived up to the 5th overall pick in your eyes? He goes, no, exactly. He has not. I don't care what anybody tells me about him stopping the run or charisma, whatever. He has not lived up to his draft stock. If we're going to put Evan Neal on the same pedestal in terms of living up to draft stock, we have to do it Kayvon Thibodeau. Sure, he's had moments. He's flashed, but he's not the guy who expected him to be at the 5th overall pick. So if they can get something for him, I would say for the Giants to make that move, if you're probably going to at least a 2nd-round pick, could get a first, but I don't know if someone might take him as a first because he's a top 5 pick. So we'll see where that goes. But if you're already talking about trading him at the combine, I'm sure there's an imminent trade coming at some point down the road, whether it's free agency, whether it's at the draft. So I think that's interesting that I've heard so far. Another thing that I've heard was interesting is Wan'Dale Robinson. Now, I know people probably thought, hey, Adam's dodging Mac. He's dodging the smoke. He doesn't want to talk about Wan'Dale Robinson. That's why he's really late. No, I'm here. I want the smoke. I want to tell you a little something about my plan on the Wan'Dale Robinson thing. I've had conversations with people about it. They agree that he's played himself to me off the Giants in terms of price tag, because he's going to ask up close to probably 16 or 17 million. If you think Alec Pierce is going to get close to 25, they're saying almost 30 million. I don't know if that's true, but let's just use a rounder number. Let's say he's getting 20 million. The next guy on that list that everyone's talking about is Wan'Dale Robinson getting paid. Now, the reason why I am not paying him, and this has nothing to do with me not liking him, take that out of the equation, okay? Regardless of how I feel about him, I'm looking at overall production, right? Overall production, he had 1,000 yards, granted, I'll give him that, with a team that was reduced in talent at wide receiver. What does that mean to me? Well, it means to me that he's a 3rd receiver, and he's going to lose less targets. So I'm not going to get necessarily 1,000 yards every year out of that guy, because when I have Malik Neighbors, if the Giants get a guy like Isaiah Likely, we'll talk about him in a minute, and let's say they draft a receiver or they bring in a Romeo Doubs, that doesn't leave Wan'Dale Robinson the amount of catches he got. Last year, he had 94 catches. The year before that, he had 94 catches. Kind of interesting that he had that parallel. He had 94 catches in 2024 for 600 yards. His average yards was 7.5. This year, he averaged 94 catches, and his yards were 10.1. So he got a little bit deeper downfield. I understand what he can do, and I understand why people like him. But to me, a 3rd receiver is not going to get paid $15-16 million a year annually, which is what he's going to command and demand, as he should, right? So for me, I'm looking at the Giants. Somebody brought him up, Tyquan Thornton. There was a rumor about him. I wanted to bring him up because I think that what's up, Tudo? I think that he's a guy that can come in here. If you want, you could supplement. You could bring him in, then get a draft pick, maybe a 2nd-round pick or somebody that you get for Kayvon.
What up, Tudo?
And you can expand that receiver room. Now, if you have an offense of Malik Neighbors, Isaiah Likely, let's say you put you put Tyquan Thornton, and then you have, let's say, a wide receiver that you draft in the first 2 rounds, right? Or even a Michael Pittman, a guy like that. Wan'Dale Robinson becomes a valuable 3rd receiver, but you're not going to be able to justify paying him that much money when you need a Cordell Flott on your team. I don't know about you guys, but cornerback is very much a problem as well. And Cordell Flott, while he's not the greatest, and I don't think he's the greatest cornerback, probably will demand less money than Wan'Dale Robinson. Therefore, I would rather sign him and possibly, somebody else, maybe a Tyquan Thornton or Romeo Doubs, with that money that they're going to get for Wan'Dale Robinson. So for me, those are some of the things that I'm hearing. Now, let me get into some of the free agent guys I'd like to talk about and think the Giants, or what I'm hearing that they'll do. I know that you guys have talked, so bear with me as I try to land this plane here. So there's a guy out there I like, and I heard they want to get an off-ball linebacker, Devin Lloyd. I would love to have him here. I think would be a great linebacker. But if you guys have been watching the Combine, there's a guy that I've been talking about for a while. His name is Sonny Styles. He's out there, and boy ran a 4.48 in the 40. 4.48.
4.46.
Oh, sorry. I'm doing him justice. Okay. 4.46. 6'5". Let me reiterate this for you. 6'5", 240 pounds. That's the guy. I don't care about Caleb Downs. I know you guys like him. That's the guy I want at 5. That's the guy who's going to be a game changer here. Imagine you put Dexter Lawrence there. You have Brian Burns. You have Abdul Carter. And now you got a man who's going to demand respect in the middle of that defense in Sonny Styles. And then you can bring in a guy, if you want a cheaper linebacker, if you don't want to keep Okereke, you can bring in somebody like a Kenneth Murray or a person of that ilk to be alongside him, depending on how they want to run this defense. And then I would think that they would probably draft another corner or get somebody in here, maybe sign a Cordell Flott and go with a Debo and Flott, and then you have Holland and Tyler Nubin there, and then you have your stud linebacker, your guy who's going to really change the defense in Sonny Styles. I think that guy needs to be in play. He needs to be talked about being in play. I think with him in play, the Giants really have something that they're going to be working with on defense. I'm not saying I don't get an Arvell Reese or a Tate. I love Tate as well. But for me, if the Giants decide to not go, because I think they have three positions really that they have a huge need at: wide receiver, linebacker, and O-line, right? Interior line. Those are my three main positions. I don't know if you guys agree, but those are the three that I think need to be addressed the most in free agency and the draft. And if you have a chance to get a guy like Sonny Styles, who, when's the last time the Giants have drafted a linebacker in the first round? Carl Banks in 1984. And when's the last time the Giants have ever had a linebacker of this ilk that could come in and change a game? This guy, we're not talking about some slouch. This guy is 240 pounds, 6'5". He's going to be a wrecking ball out there. He's got attitude. When's the last time you saw a Giant defense? As God bless Brian Burns, but this guy is going to be the unquestioned leader walking into the locker room. He's going to have that presence about him. People are not going to be looking down at him as a 6-foot pipsqueak or whatever. He's going to be a full-blown man walking in there. So I hope that the Giants take this man, change our defense around. I know people like Caleb Downs, and you can have your argument for him. I know I said I want Cardinal Tate, but after this performance at the Combine, it's clear to me that this guy deserves to be in the conversation. And I think he's a game changer on the defensive side of the football. If you want me to believe and buy in, Mac, and get on that top 10 defense with you and get in that train, you go get me Sonny Styles. I'm going to be right there with you. I'm going to be saying, you know what, Mac, I'm throwing everything out the window. That's the guy. We're going to be a top 10 defense. And that's what I'm playing for now, because I'd rather hear you guys' thoughts on some of the things I might have just said. I know you guys.
Sliding. Well, yeah, absolutely, Adam. All you got to do to hear my thoughts on what you were just talking about is go back to the beginning of the show when you get a chance, and you'll hear all my thoughts. Because yes, I am 1,000% with you. I wish you were here at the beginning, because it would have made for an amazing segment. Just absolutely slobbing all over Sonny Styles, because that's how awesome the performance was today. Like you said, I was not even as high on him as you were. I mean, I was, like I said, he was definitely a top guy,
right?
But I wasn't quite as high on him as you already were, because I do remember you already speaking about him plenty before the season ended, the college season had ended. But yes, like I said. It's one thing, because like I was saying earlier, I put more stock into what I see on the field than what I do at the Combine anyway.
True.
But at the end of the day, what I saw on the field was already convincing enough. But what I saw today in the workout is just like, this dude's not even human. He's not even human. I mean, so yes, like I just said it. I said it already too. Like, look, I don't think we really have a shot at Arvell Reese anyway. To be honest, I just think he's going to be gone before our pick, regardless. And
yeah, I think he's going to Titans or Jets. And
I think Sonny Styles is sitting right there, just waiting for us,
right,
to say his name.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So I feel like we need to make I'm with you right now. I want to see Caleb Downs tomorrow. You know what I mean? I want to watch him tomorrow. I want to see his workout, because he is another phenomenal talent that's been mocked to the Giants in a lot of these mock drafts. But Sonny Styles, to me, just raised the bar today. He raised the bar. He talk about moving the goalpost, moving the damn needle. That's what that man just did today. To me, right. I'm all aboard on the Sonny Styles train, man. All aboard, man.
He's got John Harbaugh written all over him. He's got that type of attitude, defense. Like, I like Caleb Downs, right? I think right now he's a solid player. They used him all over at Ohio State. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. The other thing that I'm also thinking about is you invested a lot of money in Javon Holland. There is a possibility of you bringing nice. We'll sign you up, Tudo. You could start right out alongside. You be our middle linebacker, man, and we'll give you a great salary too. But Tudo out there wanting to audition for our linebacker position. But getting back to what I was saying is, when you invest in that position, the D-back position like you did, and you possibly can bring back Dane Belton, not saying you're on the same defense, so it doesn't really matter if you bring him back, but he's a draft pick. He's a guy that you might get cheap, right? I'm not saying that Downs doesn't allow you to that those guys stop you from drafting Downs. What I'm saying is you invested in the position. What position have we not invested in the draft heavily at all in the last 4 or 5 years? And last 4 or 5 years, last 30-something years, right? Almost 30 years. We haven't. When's the last time you can say the Giants put a first-round pick into a linebacker, a true legit linebacker, right? This guy deserves to be in that conversation, and I think he does more for what the Giants are looking for. I can get away with Holland and Newman as my safeties. I can work with that because I got Sonny Styles dropping back into coverage. There's another guy that's also interesting. The guy, the Texas linebacker, is also an interesting candidate. We can't get Sonny Styles, and the Giants want to kind of, get another secondary linebacker, is a guy like that. But if Sonny Styles to me is a guy you bring in and is a cornerstone of your defense. He can really, think about this. You'll be talking about Styles, Carter, Burns. You have a Debo, and then you have maybe Flott and a couple other guys. You really do have a lot of good stuff out there. So I just think that's pretty interesting to me what he did here, and remarkable because I didn't think he was going to run a 4.4 or a sub 4.5. I thought maybe 4.5, 4.6, but to run a sub 4.5 at the middle linebacker position, and you watch his tape, he is violent. He's a violent dude. Okay, him and Arvell Reese. People were talking about Arvell Reese show. That dude, there's something about Arvell Reese, man. I don't know what it is yet. I haven't put my finger on it yet. I don't know what he's going to be, but he's got some talent to work with in this new positionless defenses that they're starting to create, where guys do like everything. I mean, Arvell Reese drops back into coverage, and he's out there running with running backs and stuff. But then you have Sonny Styles, who's dropping back into coverage, blitzing, coming up and stopping the run for the first time in a while. And I just think, you want a Ravens defense? Guess who was on the Ravens defense when Harbaugh got there? Okay, when Harbaugh got to the Ravens in 2008, there was a guy back there. I don't know his name. I think he's a Hall of Famer. He might have played linebacker. I think, his name was Ray. I think it was Lewis, or some guy like that. I think that's who he got there to see when he came there as a coach. He had a defensive leader. I think that's what you're going to get with Sonny Styles. I really do believe that. I think when you go to a big program like Ohio State, you have all these guys. You have guys like Arvell Reese and all the other defensive players that have come out through the gaps. And you do this, and I know that I don't want to overhype the combine, because there was something I was thinking about today that you said, Mac. The combine is a showcase. You shouldn't take it too high, too low. But what it should do is make you go, do I need to go back and look at Sonny Styles again? Yes, now I need to go back and look at Sonny Styles again, because I know that he was fast, but now I want to know how that 4.4 translated on the field, right? And then that's what's going to then magnify your thought of him, because you're going to be like, man, I knew he was good, but I didn't know he was 4.4 good. And now I guarantee you, when the mock drafts come out after the combine next week, you're going to start to see him get creeped back. He was already mocked in some mocks. I think Bucky Brooks gave the Giants Sonny Styles. So it's not like he's been out of there, or Charles Davis, one of those two guys. It's not like it's out of the realm of possibility he could be there. But to me, if I have Downs and Sonny Styles on the board, right now it's unequivocally Sonny Styles, because the Giants need a game changer in that position more so than they need a safety, which they just invested in, and they're hoping that that's what Holland can be.
Like I said, I couldn't agree more with you on this. Like I said, everything you're saying about Sonny Styles, I'm all the way on board with that right now. I mean, this kid, he took it over the top today, man. This is like an all-time great combine performance. I mean, for what it's worth, like you said,
his stock rose today.
Yeah, this was not something you just see guys come in here and do. I mean, like I said, all these kids are good athletes. You expect them to pretty much overall look pretty good in these workout drills and their shorts and shit. But it was something different about what Sonny Styles put on tape today, man. This was just that, even just the vertical jump. I mean, all of these things matter. You know what I mean? Getting up
more like a 10 on the RAS score or something like that.
It's this, and this guy, like you said, he's like you said, he's a leader. He's what this team needs. He's what the doctor ordered, man.
I think that's what we need. I'm sorry if you like Caleb Downs. I know Zion is a Caleb Downs guy, but I'm not saying that Caleb Downs won't be a good player as well. But to me, what the Giants, you want me to start to believe the Giants are truly on their way. You get me Sonny Styles on defense, and I'm going to start to believe and get hyped like you guys do every year about, oh, this is a top 10 defense. Now I'm going to start to believe it because you're making the moves necessary to make me believe that you're going to get a game-changing player. And I talked about this with a friend of mine. I said, if you're drafted in the top 5 or top 10, you're expecting a bona fide stud. Not necessarily a Hall of Famer, but a guy that's going to give you some great production. The guy that might end up in your Ring of Honor. He may not end up in the Hall of Fame, but at least for your franchise, he's got to make a difference. And I think what has been missing in this defense, and we've stopgapped it with, patchwork players like Okereke and all the other bums that we shuttled in here before Okereke. I don't even know their names, some of them, because they were god-awful. But we haven't had anybody to me, since Antonio Pierce, where I can feel like this guy's got a command of the defense. My defense is in good hands. Because even with Okereke out there, I never saw that leadership. I never saw that dog mentality that Antonio Pierce had. Antonio Pierce wasn't the greatest physically player. You look at him, he looked like he had a beer gut running around there and all that stuff. But he was so smart and so instinctual and so impactful in terms of his leadership that guys bought into the system that made the defense exponentially better. And we haven't had that where I like Mike McFadden, but is he a game changer? No. Am I going to miss him when he's gone? No. Okereke got a big contract, hasn't lived up to, I guess, the potential of what they thought he was going to be when they took him from, Indianapolis at the time. And he was a 5th-round pick out of Stanford. So you're probably reaching this guy's max right now in terms of projection where he was going to be. So now it's time to really invest in that position. If you go and look at the Giants defense, I can name defensive line, Dexter Lawrence, 1st-round pick, Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, right? You go to the cornerback position. You have Deontay Banks for the 1st-round pick. You have Cordell Fly that you got in the 3rd, another premium pick, right? You took Tyler Newman. You took a couple other safeties. You took Dane Belton in the safety position, right? You spent money on Holland, not to mention on Adebo. The only place you really haven't put a lot of stock in over the years has been the middle linebacker position. We had Ty Summers running out there last year. You have how many guys we had off the street rolling out in the last 6 games? I had to look at the scorecard 3 or 4 times to find out who Darian Fowles is or some Zane, guy that they got off Baltimore's practice squad. Like, let's cement the position with getting a guy that could be a game changer. Almost, I don't want to say Devin White because people don't like Devin White in that comparison, but what the Tampa Bay envisioned Devin White to be, it was a game changer. What Jaguars got in Devin Lloyd was a game changer. Let's get one of those for ourselves, and a guy that, for all intents and purposes, his stock rose today. Like, his stock rose from being a top 10 pick to now he's going to be in the top 5.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I will say this. Thank you, Bookends, joining the chat. Thank you, Tudo. Thank you, Mac and Adam, for holding it down. Not really feeling so good, but still gonna come in and give you guys some premium takes. And like Adam, you're absolutely right. I wouldn't mind me some Sonny Styles. I even came into today. I was telling Mac that I had the draft on in the background, but the 2 names that I really wanted to see perform was Sonny Styles and Reese. And boy, did both of them Ohio boys perform. I am excited to see Caleb Downs tomorrow, see what he has to offer. Because that Ohio defense was something else. You know what I'm saying? And you absolutely are right. Like, if the draft was, am I sold on Sonny Styles at 5? I'm not gonna be mad. Everything you just said got me hyped as well. Listen to it. I absolutely agree with you on that. want to see how the draft plays out, we can always get a receiver later on. You know what I'm saying? We still have free agency. But I just want to give my opinion on that. I am big on Caleb Downs, but like you said, after seeing what he did today, especially at vertical, especially at his size, you know what I'm saying, and the speed at his 40, like you guys was mentioning, absolutely killed it. That's a plus 1,000 aura, as the kids used to say so. And that being said, though, it makes me, yeah, you're absolutely right. It makes me want to go back and watch some tape on him, watch some highlights on him. See, he really popped out on the film watching them, but now I can actually, visualize him in a Giants uniform, and that's exciting. That is absolutely exciting. And you mentioned it too. Like, we fixed every other position around him, around that middle of the field. Just fix the middle of the field, and what an excellent leader that he would bring day one. And you get a more matured Carter, you know what I'm saying? And uh, a future Hall of Famer, hopefully, if everything goes right in Burns, you know what I'm saying, and Dexter Lawrence. So we'll see. We'll see. It's exciting times. But I'm gonna give the mic back over to you boys. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for holding it down. Let's get it chat. Keep the chat coming in. I'm listening. I'm just gonna rest my voice. But let's get it.
Tudo, I'm gonna definitely check you out on. I'll check you out on the 7th, Tudo, for sure. I'll make sure I tune into that. But let me just
For sure.
what the fuck? I just lost track of what I was going to say. Damn, I forgot what I was getting ready to say.
Well, you're ready to defend your stance on Wando Robinson.
Oh no, I'm good. I already spoke about him too before you came on, actually. But what was I getting ready to say about something? Oh, Ohio State. Yeah, Ohio State. Let me see. If Caleb Downs goes out there and performs tomorrow anywhere, even remotely in the ballpark, or where Reese and Sonny Styles performed today, the Ohio State Pro Day is going to be absolutely must-see TV. I mean, people, after what Sonny Styles and Reese did tonight, I'm sure people already are just marking the Ohio State Pro Day down on their calendar right now. I mean, that's going to be something to see, man, because I think Sonny Styles, he's got more up his sleeve, man. I think he's looking to even push those numbers up even more. He was actually unsatisfied with that vertical jump. He was like I wanted 45. Really, dude? Like, really?
I love it.
But that's the kind of attitude you want. You want the guy with that kind of moxie, man. You want like that's exactly what you want for your football team. I'm ecstatic. Like I said, I'm on board. I'm all the way on board. That's who I want. I want him. And unfortunately, hopefully, he doesn't end up these workouts boosting himself up to like being even higher than the top 5 pick, and then we don't even have a chance at this point.
There is like the Tennessee Titans looming. What are they going to do? Because the guy who also helped himself was Bailey, right? The tackle out of Texas, the defensive end out of Texas
Tech. Yeah.
Right. He ran a 4.51, which is incredible at his size, and he's being considered in the top 2 or 3. So now what happens is you're going to see a very heavy defensive draft from picks 2 through 5. I mean, when you think about it, the Jets don't necessarily have the resources at quarterback that in this draft to really take a swing on one probably this early. So it leaves you with Bailey or Reese. And if they go with Bailey, then I guarantee you that Sonny Styles and one of those other guys is going to go. I forget who's 3. I know that Titans are 4. I forget who's 3, but they're going to be probably three players taken. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes Downs, Reese, and then Styles in that order. Because if the Jets don't, this is only if Jets don't go Reese at 2, which is a strong possibility. But let's just say they take Bailey because they like his upside towards the Will Anderson, Brian Burns comparison that they're giving him. Let's just say that they want to go that way. I can easily see number 3 being Caleb Downs, number 4 being Arvell Reese.
Number 3 is the Cardinals, by the way.
Yeah, I can see them taking Downs. I can see them doing that. They have no direction really. They have no quarterback, so you take the best player available. So they could take Reese. So let's just put Reese there too, right? Reese, and I could see Robert Saleh going, we need a big time safety, a big time linebacker, right? To make our Fred Warner. Sonny Styles could go there. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sonny Styles' name gets called at possibly 4. and then you're left with either Downs or Reese or whoever is left in that little grouping there, which isn't a bad consolation prize when you think about it, right? Because you're going to get one of the top 5 players in the draft probably, and one of the top 5 defenders in the draft. Now, the Cardinals could put a fast one and go with a Jeremiah Love, maybe, and go that route. Maybe they go with a lineman. Maybe they trade out now that a guy like Sonny Styles or maybe possibly Caleb Downs tomorrow blows up the combine. If they start doing like, I can't wait. I want to see what Tate does too, because imagine if 4 guys go to the combine from one school and really in the top 10 conversation and really kind of change it on its head. Right? Could you imagine that? Think about it. They already took an Ohio State receiver in Marvin Harrison. I'm not saying they would do it again, but if he goes out and blasts the combine, now you're going to have to consider maybe he's in the top 5 mix, because maybe one of these other guys won't be here because they're showing up and showing out, right? No one knows exactly what the Cardinals are going to do, but you kind of have an idea with Robert Saleh that one of those defensive players that's left, Downs, Reese, Sonny Styles, is going to probably be there. It's probably going to end up being Styles if they get him, and we're going to be left with either Reese, Downs, or Tate at that point. And you can't go wrong with either 3 of those guys, but it's going to be an interesting top 5 to be, so to speak. I think this draft is getting better by the minute. I know that people weren't, fond of it, I guess.
It's because the quarterbacks are whack. It's because of the quarterback. It's because of the quarterback situation this year.
Oh, yeah.
In this draft, it's like we were talking about that earlier on the show as well. The quarterback situation after Mendoza, who's number 2, 3 guy, and when are they going to even go at this point? You know what I mean? So it's just a weird quarterback situation this year coming out in this draft.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute. Let's pivot from the quarterback in the draft, and let's talk about some of these backups I'm hearing that are going to be available, because you look at it, there's possibly 8 or 9 teams that need a quarterback, and there's not that many guys in the draft that you're like, oh yeah, let me get that guy. There's Drew Aller, there's Nussmeier, like there's guys that might develop into starters. But think about this: if you're the Jets and Tanner McKee's on the block, why not get Tanner McKee for a cheap pick? You have endless amounts of draft pick capital. Worst case scenario, you get Tanner McKee for, let's say, maybe a 3rd pick, 3rd rounder, 4th rounder, whatever, right? He ends up being your starter for the year. If he does well, great, you have a franchise quarterback, right? If he doesn't, you're already with 3 first-round picks in 2027 in a very deep class. You'll be the only team that can really move up. Like, there's not going to be anybody else that's going to offer 3 first-round picks. The Jets can essentially offer 3 first-round picks and get the first overall pick in the draft next year if they want to. So for me, I could see them taking a flyer on McKee. I could see that there's Bajet from the Chicago is being rumored to be out there. Let's not forget about Kyler Murray and Tua Tagovailoa, who also are going to move. So I think
Malik Willis is out there too.
Malik Willis is going to be the highest paid quarterback prospect out there. And I think it's intriguing because of the lack of quarterbacks or lack of name traction in quarterbacks, because for all we know, Drew Aller can come in here and be a beast, but there's no guarantee with that. And he hasn't shown it on tape that he has been consistent with his abilities. Right. And Freddie Mendoza is probably the only surefire quarterback in this draft that you're like, I can take him and he's going to probably do pretty well in an offense. Right. The other guys have a lot of question marks, which we can all get into in a little bit. But I'm intrigued by this backup quarterback market / guys like Kyler Murray and Tua Tagovailoa. Where are they going to go? If I'm the Jets, do I invest in it? Kirk Cousins is about to be released on in 2 weeks. Does he decide? Apparently, someone said that he's going to go to ESPN, but does he decide? Does he get a job? Anthony Richardson just requested a trade. Where does he go? Rumor has it. The rumor that someone told me that they heard is that, or were thinking about, was, what about the Vikings with Anthony Richardson? Like, that would be an interesting pairing with him and Kevin O'Connell to him and J.J. McCarthy. Like, this is very intriguing to me, and I don't know if it's intriguing to you guys, but we could see Mac Jones being traded because someone's so desperate for a quarterback that they're just like, I'll give you anything at this point. Like, it's intriguing to me. I hope we get some good movement.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, Tate. I mean, I think that's pretty much what you're going to see play out, because I think the quarterback prospects in this draft class are, after Mendoza, it kind of falls off a cliff, man. And I think that's what you're going to look for. The teams, more quarterback needy teams, are going to look more towards the free agency and the guys that are available, the veteran guys that are available, to and maybe try to wait until next year, where it'll be a much more prosperous quarterback class expected to be coming out in the draft. So But it was a name you brought up a while back before we started talking about the quarterbacks. You brought up Jeremiah Love. And, this young man is also an interesting draft prospect because we always hear the things about running backs and running backs this and why you don't take your running back this high. But I was listening to something earlier and they brought up a good point, man, because Jeremiah Love, in a lot of people's opinions, is the top prospect overall in this draft. Some people have him in that high regard. Quite a few people actually do, and he's definitely amongst the very top players, period, at any position in this draft class, by far. But people get that stigma about the running backs, you know what I mean? But like somebody said, I can't remember who it was earlier I was listening to, some podcast I was listening to. But like they said, sometimes some players are just too darn special, man. And exactly, you got Saquon Barkley, you got the Jahmyr Gibbs a few years ago, Bijan Robinson. These guys, high draft picks. Christian McCaffrey when he came out. If we just went with that theory on those guys, like, oh no, we don't take a running back that high because they're a running back. Sometimes you just can't think like that, and that brings up, like you said, the team like the Arizona Cardinals that who knows what the hell direction they're truly.
But imagine they pick him, like,
yeah, I mean. So
they need weapons.
Yeah, and so he's another very intriguing player coming out in this draft because he's
draft.
I mean, exactly, because you just never know if somebody truly values him where he should be. Where honestly he should be valued. He's far and away the best running back in this draft class, and he's like I said, a lot of people hold him as the best player. Period. So,
well,
all these things.
Who won the MVP in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, Kenneth Walker did.
Right? So Kenneth Walker, who was a 4th-round pick, solid running back. Seattle doesn't do anything without Kenneth Walker in that game, right? He was that valuable. Charbonnet goes down. He still has 97 hard-fought yards against a defense that was pretty good and really, squandering the Seattle opportunities. So if you look at what's happening around the league, you need a good back. Look what's happening in Indianapolis. I mean, Daniel Jones has a rebirth because that guy, Jonathan Taylor, is that damn good back there. You mentioned a guy that doesn't get enough respect in the league, Bijan Robinson. I mean, that guy was 8th overall. You could easily redraft that guy and say he should have went higher. And look what he does to that Atlanta team. He keeps them in the game. Imagine Jeremiah Love. Just picture this. If you decided not to go with any of those defensive players, Jeremiah Love, Jackson Dart, Malik Neighbors, maybe Wan'Dale Robinson, and maybe the tight end that you bring in, that's a formidable offense that you're looking at. I think the Giants really need more offensive help than they need defense, but I can't pass up on a guy like a Sonny Styles or whatever. But if that guy's not on the board because, they're all taken in the first in the rounds 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, and 4. One goes Sonny Styles, one goes Arvell Reese, one goes Bailey, right? All 3 guys, and you're left with Jeremiah Love. That's not a bad consolation prize to be like, all right, you know what? I'll take him, because you have Downs, Sonny Styles, and let's say Arvell Reese, right? Maybe you take Bailey, but to me, I would probably, at that point, you have best player available at whatever position you want. So you can take a luxury flyer on a guy when you get guys in this mix that are that good. The Giants have many ways to pivot. If they were to take Jeremiah Love, would I love it? No pun intended. But I would understand it and I would respect it, especially since the Giants would need another weapon. Like, I think the Giants are missing a home run threat in a running back like this. And imagine him getting spelled by Scatteroo. This guy running all over the defense, and then all of a sudden you have to now take the battering ram that is now Scatteroo. It's like it's a game changer. He's what they call a field mover, right? You can literally give him the ball, and next thing you know, you're past the 50. And people don't really appreciate Barkley because of what happened with the Giants and the situations that manifested in terms of coaching around him. But Barkley was worthy of the 2nd overall pick. He really was that good. He's done exactly what you need for the Eagles. He had another 1,000-yard season, even though it wasn't a beast of a year. He still found a way. The guy is probably, if we're putting Roger Craig in the Hall of Fame, he's probably going to end up in the Hall of Fame at some point as well because he was probably the best back of his era. And then you got a guy like Derrick Henry who revitalized his career with Baltimore. And you're looking at a guy that probably should be breaking down. and he's getting better with age. And then you look around, the age of the running back is coming back. And people need to realize that your team is not winning without a solid running back. Even the Patriots had a solid running back or a couple running backs, right? And to me, growing up, running backs were the focal point of the offenses in the mid-'90s. You had them across the board. You had the Emmitt Smiths, you had the Barry Sanders, you had a lot of those guys around there, right? And then other teams found other backs that we had, the All-Stars, the Jerome Bettis of the world, Curtis Martins. I mean, those teams functioned with running backs because those guys were that good. Hell, the Bills had Thurman Thomas on their team, right? People don't realize how good that guy was in that team. I don't think the Bills are the same without Thurman Thomas. So I hope that Jeremiah Love gets drafted in the top 10 because I really believe the running back position is more important than people realize. And I think they're trying to make it the way of the dinosaur with a fullback, which I believe a fullback is still very important on a team. Even if you use them on like half the plays that you normally use them on. Imagine you put Jeremiah Love and then a battering ram in front of him to give him another chance to block. Like it was like with Barry Sanders. You asked yourself why they never had a fullback in that offense, because he would be terrific. If you look at Emmitt Smith, who do you have in front of him? He had Moose Johnson in front of him, right? And then not many go look up Moose Johnson if you guys don't know who he is, right? Sean Alexander, when he was running all those 1,000 yards that we were talking about, who do you have in front of him? He had Lorenzo Neal in front of him, a battering ram in his own right. You know, Lorenzo Neal, who also blocked. I think he also blocked for LaDainian Tomlinson, if I'm not mistaken.
He did.
But
no, he did.
But another great running back that was picked high and was picked, I think, number 2 overall in the draft. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was 2.
He was a very high draft pick. I can't remember exactly.
It was 1, I think, and then I think he went 2 behind Michael Vick with Atlanta. So, point is, running backs matter. If Jeremiah Love blows up the combine and ends up being that guy, don't be like, oh, well, you know, we can't. They're playmakers. The guys are in the Hall of Fame because of what they did, right? The Cowboys aren't the Cowboys without Emmitt Smith. You can tell, you can go argue with your mama. You know what I mean? Like, they're just not. And running backs matter across the board. And you ask that Colts team. Look at you need to ask who needs a running back, who would love to have Jeremiah Love right now? The fucking Denver Broncos. Okay? Imagine if they had an actual running back in that game that people feared. Maybe Jarrett Stidham doesn't have to, you don't have to ride Jarrett Stidham's right hand to victory. You can just say, you know what, we got this great running back who, we can do many things with. Let's just give him the rock and see what happens. And they didn't have that. And I think it affected Denver because Patriots didn't have to worry about a threat. They were like, oh, who was your running back? J.K. Dobbins wasn't in the game. You had that, the young guy that they had, the rookie, but he wasn't really dynamic. He was not a back you respected. I guarantee you ask Jeremiah Love and you put him on the Denver Broncos right now, they're probably winning the Super Bowl. Even without Bo Nix. That's how impactful it could be. Jonathan Taylor, same thing. Once they went down, they still were a competitive team. Why? Because who was in the backfield? Jonathan freaking Taylor. So I hope Jeremiah Love comes through, and I hope that he produces because I think I think running backs kind of get forgotten, and Mac's right. They're not. I don't think they're dying at all. I think it's a new breed and a new garden of growth in the running back room. So I'm excited. He's a guy. If the Giants get him, I'd be happy. There's so many guys in this draft that I'd be happy the Giants got a 5. I don't know if I'm going to walk away and be like, oh, that was a bad pick, unless they pick somebody like that's, not.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're sitting in a good spot. Sitting in a good spot where, like you said, realistically, I don't think there's a possibility to call a name that you're like, whoa, what the hell? You know what I mean? I think they are sitting in a good spot in that regard with some of the talent at the top end of this draft. But I just look back at it even a few years ago, like in the 2023 draft, when the Detroit Lions picked Jahmyr Gibbs at number 12, people were like scratching their head at the pick, like, what is going on? Why would they do that? Look now. Look at the results. You're getting on the field.
That guy's already the best back in football.
That people are scratching their head at them picking up number 12 overall. You go back and do that draft over again. Him and Bijan Robinson could have went 1 and 2. Now nobody should even bat an eye at it. No. You know what I mean? So
Jahmyr Gibbs is a phenomenal player. I mean, we don't realize how good he is. But
it's just like you said, the running back position just gets so disrespected. I mean, it's like now it's even to the point where it's almost like
ball out of the backfield, Jameer Gibbs.
Absolutely,
I think against the Giants out of the backfield.
He's scored the damn walk off, the damn touchdown right.
Oh yeah, the 60-yard
first play of overtime, first damn play, first fucking snap of overtime, right in the house, and put the Giants out of there.
They don't have that. They had neighbors, but
put the Giants. Oh, he was injured in that game, but put the Giants right out of their misery. And that was another one of those games where the Giants had it under control in the fourth quarter. Let the Lions get back into it in the fourth quarter, tie us up, go to overtime, and then first damn play of the scrimmage in overtime, Jameer Gibbs pretty much.
That's what happens when you have explosive players like that.
I mean, and he had a phenomenal game against the Giants anyway. He was tearing us up the whole damn game, to be honest. But what's going on, goofballs?
You mentioned something about him. He's got a lot of power for a guy that's not like built like a power back. Like he'll run you over and put a shoulder in you. Like he's not afraid of contact. That guy, Jameer Gibbs. I think he's really changed the Lions offense where it first was built, around like Jared Goff and getting it to Amon St. Brown. But I really do believe Jameer Gibbs is now the star of that offense.
Oh, he absolutely is. Absolutely.
Really the build around him, because that game against the Giants, I don't think people understand how epic that was of a performance for a running back. I don't think I've seen a performance like that in a while where a guy just dominates. He made the Lions offense did nothing that game, and he was their offense. Like literally, he did everything. He caught the ball, he ran the ball. I think he had over 200 yards combined or plus of just receiving and rushing yards, in that game. And everybody else did nothing. And if they don't have Jameer Gibbs, they probably aren't winning that game against the Giants. They're probably not as good as they are going forward. So, yeah, man, I mean, the running backs, I think, like, we look at, like, Tate, right? Cardinal Tate, who I think also is in that top 5 conversation, even though, like, some people may not like him. The Giants need all of these positions that we're talking about. They need a linebacker. They need a running back. Like, I think Scatterboo is good. I think he should be the number one if you don't get a guy like Jeremiah Love.
Real quick, Adam, just because you brought it up. In that game against the New York Football Giants, Jameer Gibbs had 11 receptions for 45 yards, which is, somewhat anemic on 11 catches. But
he's running back, though.
But he's a running back. He also carried the ball 15 times for 219 yards. And 2 touchdowns. That's what he did to the New York Giants in that. Let's
put that in perspective. 260 yards. How many yards of offense did the Lions have in total?
Let me find their team stats. They had. Where the hell is it? Oh, hold on. I can't. Oh, there it is. Total offense in that game was. Where the hell? Oh, 494 yards of offense in that game.
494 yards. 70 of those yards, 60 of those yards came from one man. 260 of those yards came from one man. They had damn near 500 yards. Half the yards came by one guy. That's how dominant he was in that game. Absolutely. You take that 250 yards away, and they're just a pedestrian offense. And let's be honest, that they got all that other 250 in the second half of the game. Most of that offense came because of the Jameer Gibbs. And it brings us to another point for the Giants. When I look at the Giants this year, I'm looking at middle linebackers, my main source of problem on the defensive side. But the offense, I need an interior lineman and I need another running back because Scatterboo needs a compliment. I know a lot of people love Tracy, and I'm sorry, I'm very hard on some of these players. Like Tracy to me he's okay. I'm not like losing sleep if I lost Tracy or anything like that. Scatterboo, I think, is a difference because of his energy and what he brings. I think he's a bit of a different player that way. And I do believe he is a starter in terms of a number one back because I think he does different things. He can catch the ball, which makes him not a liability. If he was like Mike Allstott, even though Mike Allstott was pretty good, but if he was like a guy that was limited and he couldn't catch or anything like that, I'd be like, he's not a starter. He could be a starter,
Yo, Adam. Sorry, not to interrupt you, but I'm gonna get some rest, boys. I know you guys can hold it down from here. Sorry, I don't feel so good. You guys have a good night. Bless up. I'm
We're
gonna
going to
leave.
be wrapping up soon, I'm sure. But
Oh no, you're
Yeah.
good. You're good. I just
better,
need to
man.
take a shower or something. All right, guys.
it's all you know. I'm just trying to catch up, and people are sleeping over here, so I got a little bit of time. So if we want to continue, we can. We can end the show however you guys want to do it. But
No, I just didn't want to interrupt. It's not you, Adam. It's me. I just didn't want to interrupt you. You
he
guys
is a
just
great
have
blocker. You're right.
a conversation. You know what I'm saying?
I think Cam is a good complimentary back. I just think they need a breakaway back. Nothing against him.
I guess.
I don't think think about Tiki Barber and Ron Dan. I know that doesn't bring up great memories, but or how about this? Warwick Dunn and Mike Allstott. That's a different thunder and lightning. Like the Warwick Dunn was the home run threat, and Mike Allstott was the guy that was the bruiser that would come in either at the beginning of the game, he would bludgeon you, or at the end of the game, he would be that guy that you wouldn't want to tackle in the 4-minute offense when they had a lead.
We had that. We had a little example of that. With Jacobson and Bradshaw for a couple of years.
True. I forgot about them. I love that guy, Jacobs. And then a lot of people said the same thing about Jacobs that they said about Scatterboo. Oh, we can't do this. Oh, we can't do that. And that guy ended up being a solid starting running back for the Giants, Jacobs. So, I think Scatterboo is an all-around back, but I believe the Giants need a little bit more explosion in terms of like another speed receiver, a guy that can do, like if you got a Tyquan Thornton, runs a 4.3, whatever, that guy helps open up Malik Neighbors, or a guy like Wandale Robinson if you keep him, because he's going to stretch the field and he's a legit threat because you saw him do it in Kansas City, unlike Jalen Hyatt. And I think if you bring in guys like Isaiah Likely, he's a guy that I'm targeting for the Giants. If the Giants can't get Likely, I'd pivot to DJ Njoku. I think the tight end position is a big deal for the Giants, and I think they really need to invest some quality money. Like if you're gonna don't give me a Darren Waller who's washed up who doesn't want to play for you. Don't force feed me Theo Johnson and try to tell me he's a playmaker. You have some young guys out there. You're obviously not going to get Kyle Pitts, who.
But they're franchising him, I think.
He's getting franchised.
Yeah, I think they're franchising him.
Which is sad because I kind of was hoping that they would sour on him, give me a free agent. But the next guy up is like an Isaiah Likely, who probably is not going to command as much money. And he already knows Harbaugh and Harbaugh's scheme and kind of philosophies. Not that they're running that type of offense, but look for a guy like Tyquan Thornton. Why? Because he played for Kansas City this year. Who's our offensive coordinator? Jim Nagy. So it would make sense to bring in a guy that's familiar with that offense to do things. And then I think they should try to go after a decent free agent guard. Linebacker is going to be tough because because you can't rely on Sonny Styles being there. So I kind of have to invest money here. So I don't know where they're going to go. I heard Leo Chanel they might like. There's rumors about Tremaine Edmonds, but the Giants.
I think Tremaine Edmonds. I think he's getting permission. Secret trade. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on? What do you think they're going to do at linebacker or some of the? I mean, you probably already talked about it, so it's probably just.
A little bit. But
I guess I don't want to repeat it for the viewers, but I'll give my take on it. For me, John Harbaugh to me is going to change. They're saying rumors on ESPN or NFL Network that there's going to be tinkering of the Giant offense. I think it's going to be a lot. The roster's going to be changed over a lot. I really do. I think you're going to see guys traded. I think you're going to see guys that you want here leave for bigger contracts like Wandale Robinson. I think they're really going to kind of get their core group in here and get guys they want and spend their money wisely. I don't think Joe Shane is really part of this. And the only reason I say that is because he said something interesting to me at the Combine. He said, I didn't go to the Senior Bowl this year because I was looking up coaches. And then I thought, well, when did the coaching search stop? The NFC Championship game, right? And then the Senior Bowl was what, the following week or I don't know exactly when the Senior Bowl was, but it wasn't like Joe Shane couldn't have gone there. So it was one of those telling things that maybe you don't have the role that you are portraying up there, because He's like, I don't know anybody. I don't know any of the draft picks. I don't know. I'm like, what is going on here? How can you go on stage and say, I've done nothing to prepare myself for the draft?
Holy shit.
It just sounded, I was trying to listen to be caught up with the show because I knew we were talking about the draft, and I knew he had a press conference. I didn't really get a chance to listen to it, but the first, I listened to the first 8 minutes. It's a 17-minute podcast, so about almost halfway. And in the first half, he talked about gibberish. We're free agency and John Harbaugh. He was talking about, it took me time to communicate with how he wants to communicate. I'm like, yo, if you are not the dumbest motherfucker in the planet Earth, I don't know what it is. How it's gonna. Well, I needed to figure out how he texts and how he communicates. Like, what are we talking about here? You're you're telling me is that he's the boss and I have to bow down to him. That's essentially what you told me. You have no direction where you're going. You don't even have a job. You're not even prepared to talk to some of these guys because you didn't go to the Senior Bowl. And trust me, you didn't go to the Senior Bowl not because they didn't want you. You were in-house. You didn't go to the Senior Bowl because the actual person who's supposed to go there, her name is Dawn, and she was hired after the Super Bowl. Okay, the VP of player personnel that they got from the NFL offices, that's the reason why they weren't at the Senior Bowl. To go up there and say it's going to be nice to kind of get to know these guys at the combine, like that's like first year GM shit. Like what are we doing? I'm going to get to know them at the combine. Like, were you not? What were you doing for the past? Oh, I was looking for a coach. That's what you were doing? No, you looked at John Harbaugh. As soon as Harbaugh walked in the building, you should have been like, I'm going to the combine. And he could have said, fine, don't, take some good notes and then give them to whoever, whatever, right? He probably would have let you have gone there while he was building his staff out. The fact that you went up there and legitimately told people that you didn't go to the Senior Bowl and this is your chance to really familiarize yourself with these players. I know you're a dead man walking. No one picked up on it. And then I sat there and I contemplated and I was like, wait, did anybody just hear what this man just said? Did anybody hear what he just said? He's getting another players at the combine. Like, I want you to have a list of guys that we are ready to interview at the not like, oh, I'm going to get to know these guys. We really haven't had a chance because of the Senior Bowl and we're looking for a coach and all this stuff. Give me a break.
Well, I mean, he is Joey Shane, man. Look, he's going up there trying to save face. It is what it is, man. I don't even care about him. I think we all feel confident and understand that we think John Harbaugh will be having the final say in what goes on with this team, personnel wise, everything, and I feel more comfortable with that based off of what we've seen from Joe Shane. I at this point, I don't even want to really waste much energy on him.
So do you think Kayvon Thibodeau gets traded?
I think so. We were talking about that earlier in the show as well. Another thing we talked about earlier in the show was Thibodeau, and he and our feeling. I mean, we were all on the same page. You came on, and you were still all on the same page anyway. So, and that's what we were talking about. But yeah, we were talking about Tibbs, and my thought on him was also just like, look, at this point in time, if you either what are you going to do with him? I mean, because this is his last year. Could be his last year here. I mean, you can just lose him to free agency and get absolutely nothing for him, or why he has some degree of somewhat of value. Get something for him, man, and show him the door. I mean, if he's not part, I feel like you should already have an idea if he's truly part of your future plans, and more than needing to maybe see what he can do this year. And he might come out this year in his contract year and light it up for real. Just because, he has the capabilities. You've seen, like you said, flashes of it. You've never seen it strung together consistently with him, but you have seen flashes of some great stuff from him. So he has some degree of value. Like you said, he hasn't been number 5 overall pick. He hasn't lived up to that draft status, but he's also not a complete bust either. He's not that either. You know what I mean? He has some degree of like there's some teams that may hold him in a little bit of a higher regard too. You just never know. You gotta dangle him out there and see what somebody might be willing to pay for Kayvon Thibodeau, man. Because if he's not part of the future, if he's not part of what you want to do for the future, then come on, let's move on. Let's continue to keep building this thing up.
So do you think we see him on the roster this year? Like it's one thing to dangle him out there, but do you believe that? Because I believe the rumors that I think he's gone, and the reason I think he's gone is for two reasons. I don't necessarily agree with what you guys. I see flashes, but I see flashes against bad competition. Like I don't see like him dominating the Lane Johnsons of the world and all these other tackles. I don't see him doing that like a Brian Burns does. I see that when he plays a weaker tackle that he gets some playing time and stops the run here and there, but I don't think he's that good. So my question is, do I wait for him to come back and have the contract year? Because now I'm in a conundrum. If I let him come back and in the contract year, I've got to pay him an exorbitant amount of money, and then I have to worry about a guy down the road in Abdul Carter who's also going to need a lot of money, and not to mention Brian Burns, it's a good problem to have. Or do I trade him now and get something for him instead of just letting him walk? Because I feel John Harbaugh is going to want to make a splash. For whatever reason, I think he's going to look at the tape and be like, this guy is expendable. Because when I look at the tape of Kayvon Thibodeau, last year his body language told me he didn't want to be here. Just in the games that he was there, I didn't see the interaction that I normally saw. I think he was playing for himself, to be honest with you, because probably the defensive coach sucked. But the point was I didn't see the same fire and desire that I saw as a rookie. So to me, I don't think we see him in 2026. I think legitimately they're going to, if they get something like a second-round pick or a player swap, they'll do that, for him. I don't think he's going to be part of this team next year. But
perhaps even wait till the draft and use him as momentum in the draft to do maybe we don't have a third-round draft pick. We don't. Right. Maybe potentially package him in some kind of way where we could, if you want to, for draft positioning, moving up or back, whatever you need to do with somebody. I just think I agree. At this point, because from what I can see, I don't necessarily see him as part of the long-term future of this team at this point. Now, that's just being honest about it. I don't completely like him. I think he could be a good depth piece at this point, but that's about what it is with him. I feel like more so, not the guy, like you said, not what you think you're going to get out of a guy that was picked number 5 overall in the draft. Take the kid in that same draft class. The kid will want number 1 overall. Obviously, we did that draft again. Probably Aiden Hutchinson will probably go number 1.
Yes, obviously, yes.
But at the same time, Walker's got off to the very slow start. Man, has picked it up the last couple of years. Like it's the light bulb is kind of coming on with him. Whereas I'm still not quite seeing that all the way with Kayvon Thibodeau, and that's what's been a little more disappointing for me with him when it comes to him. I think like. He's done some good stuff. He's put some good tape out there, but he does have the talent. He has the physical tools. From the physical standpoint, he's our biggest edge guy on the edge. Right? He's definitely by far our biggest edge guy. It's just that I don't know. It's just something's not there. I don't know what it is. I can't pinpoint it.
Well, the thing is, I wanted to see the guy who was screaming his head off when he was drafted by the Giants on draft night, when he got on stage and he was basically just so hyped that you're like, man, I hope this guy does well. And now I'm looking down the road and I'm like, Abdul Carter had more of an impact last season than Kayvon Thibodeau, and his impact wasn't felt till the end of the games, but it was different. Like he had these sacks, and he did it consistently at the end of the season. It wasn't like, against the Commanders that one game. No, he started to stack games, Carter, and he already had pressures and things like that. And you clearly see where he's going. Brian Burns he's had 2 seasons of 1 last year, 16 and a half sacks, last year. That's what you want to see out of your edge rusher, top 5 guy. And that guy was drafted 19th overall. And why I say this is because when we talk about draft picks, right, we always put quarterbacks and other positions above things. Like we don't draft we can't take a quarterback after the first round, right? That's forbidden. You don't want to do it. But I can find an edge rusher, if I do it right in the 3rd and 4th round, I can do it. It's been proven. And so for me, when I see a guy that's in the 5th overall pick, I need a guy that's going to be like a Will Anderson. I need a guy that's going to be like a Von Miller. I need a guy that I know that out the gate, is going to be disruptive. Even Carter, I think, had a better rookie year overall than Kayvon, even though the numbers may not be the same. I can see the impact that Carter's had. And so for me, Tibbs he's good. He is a good player. I don't think if you were to redraft him in the draft and gave the same careers, I don't think he makes it into the top 10. If you want to be honest with you,
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
There were some things on his tape where they said that he was lazy, and I'm not saying he's lazy, but I just don't see the desire that I do see in Brian Burns. Like Brian Burns, to me, is what I want Kayvon Thibodeau to be. He is just a menace out there. Like, he's not always the best one out there physically, and he does get beaten here and there, but he makes his presence known. And you're like, oh, there goes Brian Burns. He's made a sack. Now, he does get worn down. That's the one thing I will say about Brian Burns that I do see him is that he just is not big enough to hold up against, going against tackles every day and day, hour after hour. I think he's a guy you need to move around and kind of get him freed up because he does get, I just think, worn down. And nothing against him, but that's just his body type. It's a thinner kind of body type, long, lanky kind of guy. But when
he's wiry.
Yeah. So when you're kind of like, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but that's how I feel about Burns. It's like every time I see him, it's like he puts it all out there, and it just, as the game wears on, sometimes he's so beaten up because he's taking on double and triple teams because guys like Thibodeau can't do shit, that by the time the end of the game when we really need him there, he's kind of just gassed.
Well, I think one thing with like a Thibodeau type is like, when you're in college, man, and obviously if you're NFL talent, which he obviously was as he got drafted very high in the NFL draft, sometimes it's just you're able to just, even with some of the most basic and simplest things, you're just that much better than the guy in front of you. But now at this level, it's easy to get exposed. And I think that's what he kind of falls into that category of a guy that doesn't really necessarily have a lot in the repertoire. And it's just not enough at this level. You gotta bring something to the table, man, a little more than what he's doing. And it's just, he's lacking a little bit. And like I said, I don't think he's a terrible player. Like I said, I think he's a good, solid depth piece for sure on pretty much any roster, but that's pretty much what he is at this point. He's not, like you said, he's not that star that he should be.
Or that you want him to be.
That you want him to be, yeah. I mean, that he's just not that.
And
he's not unworthy of being in the league, or he's not like that kind of terrible, you know what I mean? But he's just,
I think he needs to change the scenery, to be honest with you.
Maybe it could be that.
Because I don't know what it is, but sometimes his body language to me speaks volumes on a lot of things. Like,
and that's something else that you just bring like that. Also, that's a good point. Body language. Also, these guys come in, like he went to the University of Oregon, great, one of the premier college programs in the nation. I mean, these guys ain't used to losing. Some of these guys, man,
right.
And a lot of these guys, and they don't really know what that's like. And they come to a team as bad as the New York Giants have been. It's like this is something different to get used to, and maybe some guys just can't really get that out of their head as well. All of a sudden, now I'm like a loser. Now all of a sudden, being part of this losing shit all the time. And maybe even that has an effect on some of these guys' mental.
Oh, no, I agree with that. But you look at a guy like Brian Burns, and they went 4-13. The guy still is in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year, right? You look at the Raiders and Max Crosby, they lose all the time. That guy just has a different level of, attitude towards it. And I was hoping that attitude would be put out with Kayvon Thibodeau. And you're like, oh, my God, this guy is so relentless. He's our Max Crosby. He's everywhere on the field. And, I'm just disappointed. I'm more disappointed, I guess, than anybody because I think a lot of people are like, well, yeah, he's good against the run. But I didn't draft you to stop the run. I drafted you to get to the quarterback. I don't draft you in the top 5 to stop the run. I drafted you in the top 5 to be a sack, right? So for me, that's where I'm disappointed in because I really had a lot of hope. See, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Burns loves football, and that's the difference between him and Kayvon Thibodeau. You see it out there. You see it. Exactly. Dart loves football. You know what? That's why Kayvon Thibodeau's got to go because I think John Harbaugh knows. He said something in his press conference like these guys need to love ball, And if you don't love ball, we're going to get rid of you. I think you need to get rid of Slayton. I think you need to get rid of Thibodeau and just guys who, like, even Deontay Banks. I know they defend the front. Get rid of him. I'm sorry. I don't need you as a kick returner. I can get somebody else to do that. If I get Taquan Thornton here, I can have him be my kick returner, right? Jalen Hyatt, get him out of here, and maybe you're right. Maybe Tibbs doesn't love football or the grind. Maybe he doesn't love the grind. There's something that's happened between 2022 when he was drafted to now, where the guy that was drafted is not the guy that I see or thought he was. There were question marks about his game that I was, concerned of, but thought he would overcome. But those question marks are still there. And the inconsistency he had on tape in Oregon, where they were like, well, his motor comes in, like, that's the difference between him and Burns. The Burns got a motor. The guy just does not stop. And I think it's because of the love of the game. Maybe it's the love of the game that he just can't get enough. And Brian Burns eats and sleeps this shit while Thibodeau doesn't seem to do that. And I think it's going to be hard to pay him, Mac. I know you said that he's a backup player. He's going to command a lot of money regardless, right? And I think if you don't think he's going to be a double-digit sack guy, it's time to move on and get something for him.
I mean, I hear you. At this point, I am pretty much ready to kind of turn the page there, because these are good points. That some things I actually forgot about. I mean, even when he was coming out during the draft process, he was always talking about a lot of other things, and more other than just football. And especially around that time, you would like to see a guy really just all in. You know what I mean? About through the process, and he was all over the place. All his other things to do after football already. Like, why is your mind already there when you're just getting ready to start this new journey and you're already thinking about after your career already? So then it's a lot of red flags. Actually, that hindsight, you think, and it's like maybe we probably could have went a different direction, and probably should have went a different direction.
His replacement,
but absolutely. I mean, yeah, that's already telling. And then also it just would. I don't know. I'm ready for just a fresh start with this team. And it starts with sometimes, like you said, cleaning up some of that. Like I remember that his rookie season when he had that big night in Washington, the big game in Washington he had that pretty much clinched the New York Giants getting the playoff, getting the wild card spot. People, myself included, I thought that was that was the breakout right there. That's it. Now we got this guy going forward. He's going to be a dog for us next year. We can't wait. And next year came, and it was like, what the fuck, man? It was just like,
where's that guy? Like Brian Burns had a sack in the game against Minnesota where he made a sack and then they got an interception and fumble. Like he made game-changing, altering plays. And Thibodeau had one game that we all refer back to when we talk about Kayvon Thibodeau. Hey, remember that Washington game he had? There's nothing that can other games that stand out. I know people don't like this take because I've talked to men. Doug, you get rid of good players too much. You're so hard on these players. And I'm just telling you like I see it, and I'm just calling how it is. Like I'm not trying to tell you that Wan'Dale Robinson, is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm telling you why I don't want to pay him, or why my thoughts on why that guy shouldn't be here. If you don't have to agree at all, right? Kayvon Thibodeau, same thing that I'm seeing. If you love him and he's your favorite player, or you want to wax poetic about him, by all means do that. But I just have to tell you how it is and how I think. And part of my thought process is where you're drafted. It matters. Why do you think Daniel Jones still has a fucking job in the league? Because he's drafted in the top 10 of the draft. And that holds merit when you're going to your resume and they're going through people, because as long as you're on the plus side of 30, you are going to get a job, because some coach is going to be like, oh, that's going to be me. I can fix him. And you're going to take a chance. Look at Chase Young. Chase Young had to basically cast off from Washington to go to New Orleans and barely be the player that he's supposed to be drafted. This year, he had a solid year. Not a great year, but he had a solid year. Like, all right, is he the guy they drafted, second overall? No, he wasn't. He was a guy that had the physical measures. And this is the last thing I want to say before we, kind of end this, because I know it's going long and you guys, Max being a sport, staying on with me. Now, potential. Michael Jordan said something today that, or in an interview that was aired years ago, but he said something that rung with me. He's like, a lot of players these days get paid off of potential. And I think when free agency comes, you need to pay a guy off of what he's done and what you think he might do because of what he's done. And a lot of times they don't do that. They base it on the potential of, like Brian Burns. When I signed him to a $150 million contract, when I got out of 2025, that's what I expected to get out of him every year because that's what I saw in him, right? And that's why you pay him that money. But when you get these like rookies or these other guys like Wandell hasn't done it for a year, he's only done it once, it's more of a reluctancy to pay you, and you have to structure these things. A lot of these guys get paid off of potential, like a Thibodeau, right? And then they never live up to that potential, and now you have this big hole in the roster. So it's really hard to do this, and that's one of the things that I think about when these teams are building it. Like, you can't base it off potential. A resume has to matter. You have to say, look, this guy has done it. This is why I'm paying you, X, Y, and Z, because you were one of the top in your position. That's why. Leonard Williams, case in point, good player. Everyone always questioned, was he good? He finally goes to Seattle and puts it all together and becomes a player that we think that he is, and he is a Super Bowl champion. And he's did it for the last time. With the Giants, he was very disruptive, but he wasn't the guy he was in Seattle. And that he is in Seattle. Seattle, he's basically borderline Hall of Fame right now. That's how well he's playing, right? I mean, he may not get to the Hall of Fame, folks. Don't shoot the messenger here. But what I'm saying is this level of play has been elevated by the coaching staff and things like that. So now if he needs to get paid. Jackson Smith-Njigba, he deserves to get paid because he's been good for the last couple of years. And this year he took that being good in 2025 and blew it up in 2024 and blew it up in 2025, and he deserves to be paid. Guys like that deserve to be paid, right? Well, guys like that do it off of 1 year, they deserve to prove it again. So I think when you're building these contracts out, take somebody's resume into consideration when you're paying them, and take some of the things that they've done and pay them for what they've done and what you hope they're going to be, as opposed to just saying, hey, you know what, we're going to give this guy $100 million because he hasn't shown it. Like, I hate to use his name, but Daniel Jones, the blind contract that they gave him, I don't think it was based on anything other than, hope and a prayer. Nothing that they saw could justify the contract outside of they were hopeful that happened. And I just want the Giants hopefully to go in with a measured attitude and a measured approach to this free agency period and get guys like, an Isaiah Likely or, a guy like a David Njoku, and give them a reasonable deal. Because you know what they're going to do and how they're going to help this team out, and get some of these teams, these guys like Slayton and Thibodeau, let them go elsewhere, and don't worry about he's going to blow up with the Kansas City Chiefs. Just worry about getting better. I'm excited for this season, man.
Well, yeah, we are going to need to get ready to wrap things up. We're almost hitting the 2-hour mark right now, and my just a thing about Wandell real quick, just before we step off. I'll say one last thing about him. Talked about him earlier a little bit, and I said I wouldn't mind retaining them, but I just think the issue is going to be the price tag, man, and the money's not going to work out. I think he's going to be commanding a little bit more money than the Giants can really afford to be able to pay him, and so I think for that reason alone was why we're going to probably end up losing out on him in the offseason once free agent starts in a couple of weeks. I mean, because technically, I'm looking through the free agency rankings. For what it's worth, Wandell he's ranked like 21 right now, I think, out of all the free agents, and that's pretty high up on the board.
I think it's like 3 in his position, 2 or 3.
Yeah, something like that. I think only Pickens and Pierce are the only 2 wide receivers I think ahead of him. I think. Yeah, and so that's pretty high up on the rankings. That means it's probably going to command a little bit of money. And I just said I think that's the only issue with Wandell for me, is that I think that's just that I don't want to overpay him by no means. I don't. Because I do.
49ers, perfect team for him.
I understand like some of your views, but I'm not quite as hard against him as you are. I just because I like Wandell the player. I think he's a player that's shown improvement each year of his career. But at the same time, I think this year it's just going to cost too much to retain, and it'll be a detriment to the team if you overpay him. I mean, that's just how I feel about him. So I think we may have seen him play his last game as a New York Giant just because I think it's going to be too much money to retain him. But we'll see. We will find out.
perfect for him. They do exactly what they need for him. Fits their system. High volume, short pass quarterback in Brock Purdy. They need guys underneath. He would work perfectly for them.
I mean, we'll find out. We'll see what happens with him, man. But I don't know if you had anything final that you wanted to say before we wrap up, man. Appreciate you hopping on and sharing your thoughts, man. I mean, we were all on the same page in tune, but you came in a lot. You were talking about a lot of the stuff that we had already talked about, obviously already. But
I'm sorry.
nah, it's all good. It's definitely all good. Oh man, what's going on, Alex? Yeah, you come in right as we get ready to wrap up, man. But we appreciate you stopping in.
Alex got bigger and better things, you know.
Definitely appreciate you stopping in, man. But we're definitely about to wrap up because we've been on for a couple hours now, and it's getting kind of late.
Max being a sport and letting me kind of just, fill in some time with them. It's a Premium Takes NFC East Roundup preview,
But yeah. So we are going to get ready to wrap it up, man. Appreciate y'all coming in, bookends, Tudo, everybody else that was in chat, Coach Ed earlier. And definitely appreciate you guys, man. Tuning in for another edition of the Premium Takes podcast. Get them fours up for our guy, NYG Jeffy T, man. Always loving. Always going to be here for Jeff, man. Always going to be here with us, man. And we'll see y'all next Thursday night, man. Another edition of the Premium Takes podcast, man. Zion hopefully will be back at full strength. So let's hope he gets better, man. Y'all have a good night. It's been another edition of the Premium Takes podcast. Peace.